Good morning.
Good morning.
Coffee with Bob today. Beautiful day outside. Today, we're going to be discussing questions to ask when interviewing a financial advisor. Co-hosting is Christina.
Great to be here. As Bob said, I am your co-host. Coffee with Bob is a mini webinar series that we're bringing to you every other Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. We're bringing to you relevant and timely topics. Today, we're talking about questions to ask when interviewing a financial advisor. What we've found throughout the years is that when we work with new clients, we are asking them a bunch of different questions, trying to get to know them and their priorities, their goals, their needs, that of their family. And to be honest, there are some questions that should be coming our way too. So whether you're comparing advisors or trying to figure out who is going to best work with you and fit with you, we think that these 10 questions that we put together today are the questions that you should be asking. We have our cups of coffee here. I think we are on our second pot of coffee in the Hapanowitz household. So we are absolutely living up to the name Coffee with Bob. Please do pass this along to other coffee lovers, tea lovers, water drinkers, anyone who enjoys a cup of coffee or anything else. Please pass this along, the more the merrier. So let's get started. Okay, first question. Are you a fiduciary? So Bob, do you want to talk about what a fiduciary is and the significance of that word?
Sure. So fiduciary is held to the highest standards. Typically in our business, fiduciary is registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Typically, they hold some advanced degrees like a CFP or CFA, and they have some experience in the industry. And it's the most sophisticated way that you can work with a financial advisor. And when you hire a fiduciary, they are bound to act in your best interest rather than just in suitable.
Yeah, so true. And not just now, not just acting in your best interest now, but for the entirety of the relationship. It's a really significant word and significant position to consider when you're asking this question of a potential advisor that you're going to work with. So, okay, second question. What designations does your team carry?
Yep. So yeah, you should be asking, do they have, in other words, to me, the infrastructure of that advisor you're planning on working with? Do they have folks that are certified financial planners or chartered financial analysts or AIFs or RSCPs? All these things are important because there's a measure of training. And along with that, these credentials is experience. So we believe that you should work with a team that not only is credentialed, but experienced. And that way you're working with folks who have navigated all kinds of different environments in the past, are going to be best suited to help you navigate going forward.
Yeah, so true. So these certifications that you see on the right side of the screen, these are just a few of the designations that an advisor could hope to get in this industry. These are ones that our team happens to have, the RICP actually being one that one of our team members is studying for right now. But specifically the CFP and the CFA, when you see those three letters behind someone's name, that means that they've really become a student of financial planning or financial analysis. And when you see those three letters, what it means is that there's going to be another level of sophistication that's added onto the service that firm or that advisor is providing to you. And it means a lot to have those three letters. So definitely those are ones to look out for specifically. Okay, number 3. Do you provide any services in addition to investing?
So let's go back to the beginning of the relationship. At the beginning of the relationship, when you're interviewing an advisor, you should be talking about your unique goals and objectives and how that advisor can help you meet those. And part of the process, after that process has gone through certain stages, the advisor should be able to go back and draw on their training, their CFP training, their CFA training, and talk to you about financial planning, tax planning, estate planning, insurance planning, et cetera, et cetera. And that should be a natural flow in the relationship. Most people come to us because they want us to manage their money. Well, if we properly manage their money, we're going to align the investment plan with their financial plan, with your unique financial plan. We're going to be tax aware. We're going to consider things like insurance and estate planning and record keeping and those kinds of things. So it all works together.
Yeah, and that's not to say that an advisor or an advisory firm who doesn't offer these services isn't as capable. It's just that what we've found is that, again, that level of sophistication is added and is increased when you can either offer these services or help quarterback and manage these services in addition to the investment game plan.
Mhm.
Okay, number 4, what is your investment philosophy? Great question.
So keep in mind, you're asking this question of the investment advisor. You certainly want to align your goals and objectives, your unique goals and objectives, with the proper investment philosophy. So as an example, if you're sort of retirement oriented, you probably don't want to work with somebody who specializes in trading microcap stocks. That probably wouldn't align, right? So you should become familiar with your investment advisor's investment philosophy and why they've chosen that investment philosophy.
Yeah, every advisory firm is different, and every advisor has their own philosophy as to how money should be managed. So some believe that they can beat the markets. Some believe in trading individual securities. Some prefer to solely use mutual funds or exchange traded funds. And then some firms like to use a mixture of all those things. So it's going to be different from firm to firm. And this is an aspect of your relationship that you really want to naturally align. And what your investment philosophy should be is going to be determined by what your goals and needs and priorities are, which you will, better know after you go through the financial planning process. So definitely an important question to ask and make sure that you're on the same page with that advisor that you're potentially working with. Okay. Number 5, what are the costs?
So typically in a portfolio, there's 3 levels of cost. There's the trading costs. That's what it costs to buy a stock or a bond or a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund. And then if you're working with mutual funds and exchange traded funds, there's going to be an internal expense to manage those funds. The investment advisor, your representative, should be driving those costs down. They have the ability to do that. And then finally, how your investment professional is being compensated. Is it via a fee, an advisory fee? If it is, they're probably SEC registered, which means they're a fiduciary and they're bound to act in your best interest. If it's not a fee, then maybe it's a commission. And again, the commission folks, a lot of good commission folks out there, but there is a bias, a natural bias occurs when you're incented to sell a product and make more money. So you should be aware of how you're compensating your investment professional, and is that right for you?
Yeah, so I'll tell a quick story as to why this question is really important. A client who recently signed on with us, he was comparing the advisor he was currently working with, his costs, to the costs that he would incur working with us. And originally, when he first got the answer, he thought that we would be the more expensive firm, because he was comparing that current advisory firm's advisory costs to what our advisory costs were. However, after our investment committee did a deeper dive into that current investment portfolio, and we got to look at what the total costs were, including those portfolio and transaction fees, what we found was that our portfolio was less expensive, our portfolio costs, and therefore net we were actually saving him money overall. So it's a really important question to ask, and it's really important to be aware of all 3 of those components Bob mentioned when you're asking that question. So, okay, number 6. How often will I be hearing from you?
Yeah, well, that's up to you and your advisor. So the part of the process in the beginning is talking about communication. Some folks want to have quarterly review meetings. They want to do those in person. Others want to meet annually. Others want to just do it on the phone or have a Zoom meeting or a combination of all 3 of those. So you discuss that with the advisor. Make sure they have the infrastructure to do what you want to do, which is have that level of communication that's right for you. And we find typically in newer relationships that the communication happens more often, more frequently, because there's just some moving parts that need to be sort of solved, and that's normal. And then after a year or so, we get into a rhythm. It doesn't have to be a year; it could be 6 months, but we get into a rhythm after a while on how we communicate.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask this question. And what's going to be best for you is going to differ between, one person to another or one family to another. And when you ask this question and when you have this conversation with your advisor, you guys are sort of starting off on that right foot of same expectations, same, consistency, and it just sets you up to have a more successful relationship and more seamless relationship as you guys get started together. Okay, number 7. What does your typical or ideal client look like?
Yeah.
I like this question.
Yep. So you should be asking your advisor what your typical relationship looks like. And really, because you don't want to be the biggest whale in a pond. Chances are that advisor hasn't handled something that size, and maybe or maybe not, you don't want to be the sort of the guinea pig. And by the other token, you probably don't want to be the smallest fish in the pond either. You probably won't get the attention that you want to have. So I think we think it's important that you align yourself with a firm that not only has the infrastructure, but the client base that they've been there, done that before, so that you can be assured and sleep well at night that this firm that you're aligning with can do what you want to have done.
Yeah. So when you ask this question, get those quantitative factors like their typical asset range or typical age range, but also get those qualitative factors too. What typical obstacles do you help clients deal with, or life events? You know, if an advisor is a retirement planning specialist and you are getting ready to retire, then that could potentially be a really great fit for you guys, all else equal. So it's a really important question to ask. And let's move on to the 8th question. What benchmarks will you use for my investments?
So there's 2 ways to answer the question. We think the first and most important is after that sort of discovery, and you've talked, and the advisor understands your unique goals and objectives, then they can set up an investment strategy, investment game plan that's built around you, achieving what you want to get accomplished. So the answer is you're the benchmark, and your advisor should be able to provide detail that benchmarks the performance of the portfolio to your goals and objectives. Additionally, what our investment committee does, once we implementation is the process of actually investing your money, then our investment committee is going to benchmark the individual investments in your accounts, the individual stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, against the popular benchmarks like the S&P 500 or the Barclays bond aggregate. And that way we'll know if it's doing better or worse. And if it continues to do worse, we'll identify why and we'll replace it in portfolios. So that's part of the bench. So the 2-pronged answer to that benchmark question.
At least for us, every advisor is going to have a different way that they measure success. But when you ask this question and when you ask it up front, again, you're starting off on the right foot with the same expectations in terms of how you will be measuring the success of your portfolio. And that kind of communication will provide for that really seamless relationship.
You're the benchmark.
Absolutely. Okay, number 9, who is your custodian? So do you want to explain what a custodian is and, the significance of that role in an advisory relationship?
So your custodian is the firm that actually holds your money, sends you statements, and conducts the stock and bond and mutual fund trades on your behalf at the behest of you through your investment advisor. So for example, there are 2 types of custodians. There are the independents like LPL, Schwab, Fidelity, and then there are the wirehouses like Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley. So there are pros and cons. The independent side is the fastest growing side. Why? Because folks are leaving the wirehouse side, the Morgans and the Merrills, and going independent because it's the best way to service a client. There are inherent conflicts of interest at the wirehouses. On one side of the wirehouse, they're making product. They're making some esoteric product, or they make mutual funds, et cetera. And then they reach out to all their branch managers, and the branch managers say, Salesforce, another word for investment advisor or financial advisor, Salesforce, sell this product. And we think that's backwards, right? We think portfolios should be constructed based on your needs and goals, and not without regard to a particular investment product. So when we build a portfolio, it should be built from the ground up, not from the top down.
Yeah, you can see that we're somewhat partial to the independent way of this industry.
It avoids conflicts of interest.
Yes, absolutely. The custodian has a major role to play in terms of the resources they provide to an advisory firm, and therefore allows us to service the client in a more seamless and efficient way. So this is a really great question to ask, and should be asked of anyone you're talking to. Also, the relationship between an advisory firm and a custodian is really, really important. For example, H&A ranks in the top 100 out of over 14,000 advisors at LPL. And therefore, we have a really great and strong foundation of a relationship with LPL. If we needed anything done for a client, which can mean a lot of different things, we can usually get it done and fairly quickly as well. So sort of on the backside of things that you as the client might not see day to day, but it's still a really important question to ask. Okay, last question. How do I sign up with you?
Okay, super simple. We've made it super simple, but let me just back up. It all begins with the process of you interviewing that financial advisor and getting all those questions answered. What's your investment philosophy? What services do you offer? How often are we going to communicate? Once you're satisfied that the advisor is right for you, then you can simply sign up. So with us, we've made the sign up super simple. It is paperless if you want it to be paperless. If you want paper, that's fine too. But we make it paperless. You can do it right on your tablet, your iPhone, or on your computer. And in 2 weeks, Christina's going to host a webinar, and she's going to tell you more about that at that time.
That's right. So 2 weeks from today, June 24th, 11 a.m., how to sign up with H&A. Every advisory firm's onboarding process is going to look a little different, but we're going to show you what ours looks like. And then also 4 weeks from today, July 8th, 11 a.m., that's a Wednesday, we are giving a new market and economic update. So please look out for the registration link for that as well. I know you guys are going to like that too. So if you guys have any questions about anything that we talked about today, you can give us a call, 412-261-5966, or our emails are at the bottom of the screen, and we hope you'll reach out to us. And thank you so much for tuning in. This was fun.
Have a great day, everybody.
Take care.